Hello, and welcome back to the PGL. I know this video is going to be, a couple days late, and that's because of the showdown going down, and then I really don't like uploading in evenings, so I definitely will be uploading this on Tuesday. We are 2-1 this week, the San Diego Shiny Slagoos, and our opponent here is 1-2. This is a very important battle for both of us, so I'm hoping we're able to pull it out. So funny story about Cham before we play. That's my opponent this week is Cham. He and I actually build together. He is my main support in building teams, and I support him as well. So this was kind of an awkward week for me because I didn't have his help in building because obviously I'm going against him. So I'm hoping my team holds up because normally he calls me out for stupid sets. So I might have brought a couple dumb ones here, but that's okay. Looking at the team he brought, he did not bring Frostlass, which makes sense. He did not bring Volbeat, which was annoying for Vivian because it could stop a Quiver Dance sweep with Thunderwave or Encore. He did not bring the Berserker, which actually blows my mind. I thought Berserker, especially defensive Berserker, looked really good into me. And then he did not bring the Thievel, which makes a lot of sense. I think Florges is kind of just a hard wall to Thievel, so not too surprised. I am a bit surprised to see that he brought Water Tauros because I do have Tangela that completely walls it. And yeah, I didn't decide to bring it this week because I really didn't think he would bring the Water Bowl, but that's okay. So yeah, the big game plan for this one is get Vivian set up after I do some damage to everything on his team. I expect the camera up to be specially defensive, and if it is, then Vivian only does like 60% to it, which is not great. So we definitely want to weaken that. It looks like otherwise Hurricane does do a lot of damage. If we do Terra into Fire and get +1, then Terra Blast does about 50% to Pincurchin, so we do need to weaken him a lot. And for that, I think we do want Rocks up, which is going to be difficult because he does have the Xatu. So I do have a couple of leads here. I can lead Cyclozar or I can lead the Manectric. He doesn't have any Pokemon faster than Manectric that aren't Scarfed, so I think starting with Manectric could be good, but I do kind of expect a Pincurchin lead, which Taunt would be nice against, so I think I will actually lead with Cyclozar. And he leads with the Licky Licky. Okay. So Licky Licky, very annoying. It's actually a great pickup for his team because a lot of his Pokemon really do appreciate Wish Passes. Like, right here, Camerupt and Pincurchin would both really appreciate getting their health back at some point. So, if this is a standard defensive Licky Licky, and a Body Slam is doing like half to me, and a Draco is only doing like a third to him. I don't know why you would lead with your Cleric, because it is kind of passive. So I could U-turn into Chomp here, or Little Chomp, and try to get Rocks up. I could alternatively just go for a Draco and get an idea of what kind of defenses this thing has. I don't really mind Cyclozar getting status, because I do have the Heal Bell on Florges. Florges is going to be incredibly important in keeping everybody else and itself alive, so... I think I will just Draco, get an idea of its set. It does 33%. He does go for the Body Slam. He does 41. Makes perfect sense. He has leftovers. So my Draco Meteor shows that he is not fully Spadef. So at max, he's mostly Spadef. But he also could be fully Fizdef. So that doesn't tell us a whole lot. Well, no, he has to be at least like Careful Nature. And then the Body Slam means he has a little bit of physical offense. So, good to know. That means this U-turn should probably do around 10%, so I will just go for it. We do get the 10%. He does have the ability to run moves like Ice Beam, so I don't really think Chomp is worth switching to now. So I think I will actually just go into Scrafty. He might be Oblivious, which would ignore Intimidate. Yep, so... Intimidate doesn't do anything, he Body Slams, does not get a para again, so that's pretty lucky, but again, we do have Heal Bell, so it could be worse. I think his main Scrafty switch-ins, it's kind of difficult for him, I would say, because Roselia doesn't really want to get knocked off, and Xatu doesn't really want to get knocked off, and they're the only two that really want to switch in on a fighting type move. So if we look at Scrafty, I don't think Licky Licky gets any type of fairy move, but I will check. We did make some transactions last week, so we did drop Simi Seer, we dropped Articuno, which I was sad about, and we dropped Marsh Stomp, which I was never going to use, and we proceeded to pick up these two, Gabite and Vivian, because I needed a more setup and I needed a better rocker. And then I also picked up Typhlosion, which I think is an insane pickup for me, but I just didn't think it looked that good against Terra Water. Yeah, it doesn't look like Licky Licky gets any type of fairy coverage, so we'll just knock off. He goes into Rose Raid, which is great. We get rid of Eviolite immediately, so I think that opens up a lot of our offense against it. So if I just look really quickly at Roselia, defensive spikes, yeah, so that was somewhat physically defensive. Again, Cham likes not as complex EV spreads as I do, but he does tend to split his defenses. I definitely could see him setting up a toxic spike here, or a normal spike, or just trying to get a leech seed up to start dealing some damage. So I think this is actually a good chance for me to make an offensive pivot into Manectric, because I do threaten him with Terra Fire. He does get a spike up, makes total sense. I think him getting hazards up is pretty key to him winning. And I think his main switch in here is Camerupt, but I don't think that's enough reason for me to click Toxic right now, so I will just go for an Overheat. I do have a Jetpack, so if Camerupt comes in, I get an Overheat, I deal 27%, and I immediately switch out using a Jetpack, and I get a little Chomp in. So that worked exactly how I wanted it to. Spike damage is a little annoying because it's going to make it harder to get wishes past into my other Pokemon, but I think that is okay. So Camerupt took 27% from that Overheat. So it is an offensive camel, like very offensive. It actually has to be like, wow, no health, no Spadef, well, maybe a little bit of health. Yeah, some health, no Spadef. So that means an Earthquake does threaten a KO here. At worst, it's a roll. I do kind of expect him to go into Xatu here, so we'll just Rock Tomb. He does go into Xatu. We do hit the Rock Tomb. It only does, okay, it only does 35, and he's clear Amulet. Holy crap. Okay. I don't know what he's cooking, but he's cooking. Yeah, that's crazy small damage. So he's probably max HP. Looks like a Spadef set. Damn, I would really like to get some rocks up. And I don't know what kind of moves he has, but I don't want to let him start setting up for free. So I think I will go for the Dragon Tail. Oh, and he went for Trick Room. Oh my gosh, he brought a Trick Room team against me. Okay, that's really unexpected. Yeah, so I just used Dragon Tail, which is like super negative priority. The only move it can possibly go faster than is like if he was slower than me and had Whirlwind, or Trick Room. So he is definitely a Trick Room oriented team, which is kind of weird because the camera up was not bulky, which makes me think it's like a mixed attacker. We get Licky Licky back in, which is not preferred. And that Dragon Tail did, oh, it crit. Okay, I was gonna say that Dragon Tail did a lot of damage. So now we kind of have to call, is he going to go back into Xatu? Because if not, I can get rocks up. And I actually don't think I need to make that call right now. I think I can just go into Cyclizar. Oh, with the Ice Beam, it's a little threatening. I do think he's more of a physical set with Wish, but I don't want to give him any free switches. So Cyclizar into a Licky Licky, where the Body Slam did like 40%, and Ice Beam is doing like 50. So At worst, he Ice Beams on the switch in here, and then I just have to double into Scrafty. So I think that's a fair play. He does go for a Wish. Something will get healthy this turn. It's probably the Rose, maybe the Camerupt. I think the Rose makes the most sense because I can drop a Draco, it'll eat the hit and probably heal back to full because of Licky Licky's massive HP, and then he can threaten with more spikes. But I will just Rapid Spin to go ahead and get rid of the spike. He does stay in, which is, you know, that's fine. He's a Swords Dance Licky Licky. Okay, that's a little threatening. We don't have a great way to break this, especially where our Scrafty Intimidate does not do anything. So I will U-turn, deal little damage. And unfortunately, it looks like we might have to pick a sack. Since he has Swords Dance, it makes me think he's not Heal Bell, so a Toxic on this is probably permanent. The question is, does Manectric eat a Body Slam? And the answer is probably not. It probably gets one-shot by Body Slam. But Scrafty also takes 40% from this, but I will just go into it. I think it is my only real play. Body Slam 43 does not para once again. And I think I can't really play with this with Drain Punch. I only get 30% of my health back. I don't know how much speed he has. I am running some speed on this Scrafty, but if he's running like max speed, then I'm in trouble. Drain Punch would make it so that Body Slam may not KO again. Yeah, it should definitely. But then I risk the para, whereas Close Combat just gets a ton of damage on this, and I can finish it with pretty much anything. So we'll just go for the Close Combat. He does go back into the Rose, so that's a good play. I do 29%. And yeah, Rose Raid does probably try to get up another spike here, but without its Eviolite, Knockoff does have a chance to just knock it out. Alternatively, I could go back into Little Chomp, or I could even go into Florges, but I think that's a bad play because I am trying to keep it healthy, and this is one of the few things that can hurt it. He might predict the offensive Manectric switch this time. I could also go into Chomp because I do think he mentioned it's Covert Cloak Scrafty, but it is not, unfortunately. He is just getting unlucky. I think I will just go for, I won't go for a knockoff because my defenses are lowered. Does Baby Chomp kill this? Baby Chomp does kill this without the Eviolite, so I will go into it because he doesn't have a great Earthquake switch in. Okay, does Synthesis, so we are playing a bit of the long game, and it's difficult for me because I can't just freely Wish Pass because his team is more threatening to Florges than I would expect. We'll just go for an Earthquake here. If he decides to bring in Xatu, then he brings in Xatu, and that's okay. He does go into Xatu, makes sense. So, yeah, we lose out on a turn there. I don't expect this has a way to hit me very hard, so we'll just go for the Rock Tomb, and we do knock it out. Okay, nice. So, Xatu's gone. He does go into Tauros here. It is Intimidate. I think I have this Garchomp built in a way that Tauros shouldn't be able to one-shot it, or even two-shot it. The problem is it might be a sub-bulk up set. And with that Intimidate, Earthquake wouldn't break its sub. I would really like Rocks here. I'm not sure it's the play. I'm starting to think that Pincurchin is actually some type of strange sweeper for his team. So I think I need to keep Manectric around just to bluff that I am Lightning Rod. Because I do think this thing could be very threatening with Trick Room. So if I am at -1, then yeah, Earthquake is very unlikely to break a substitute. I don't see a great way in that he breaks Florges with this. I would also kind of like to get an Intimidate up, but Scrafty's really my only great answer into Licky Licky. But I will just go for the Stealth Rock. He does Terra Water, Wave Crash, does not knock me out, and he takes Rough Skin. Okay, and Recoil. So we do get Rocks up, so I think this is pretty favorable. So we can actually calc that. So if we look at Tauros, Choice Band, Water Terra. Wave Crash would have done 84. Okay, no. So he's not banded. If he is choice scarfed, 56 to 66. Yeah, this is pointing toward it being scarfed, and I think, yeah, based on this calc, he could be adamant or jolly, and I would guess he's adamant because my fastest mon is Cyclozar. So, assuming adamant, scarf, I think that does just kind of blow up my team, which was a really good bring on his part. Yeah, I do not have a good switch in. Even Cyclozar gets 2-shot, even with the resist. I do just deal a lot of damage to him. If he does decide, you know, to stay in and go for it again, which he should. So we'll just go for an Earthquake here. I'll let him take the damage. He takes a bunch of chip. And he doesn't have his fighting type anymore, which is beneficial because it means he takes more rocks damage, and it doesn't really look like he has any removal. So they should be up for the rest of the game. I do think this does one-shot. Yeah, this easily one-shots Manectric, so Manectric cannot deal with this Scarfed monster. Cyclozar is my best answer because even if he's adamant max attack, he's doing 70% at the most. So it would take a high roll crit to knock me out. So we'll go Cyclozar. We'll just drop a Draco. I don't see a reason not to. He does go Licky Licky. Takes the rocks damage, takes the Draco, 33%. Very consistent damage rolls, honestly. He does probably go for Body Slam here. Or he might go for Swords Dance or Wish. Since I'm at full health, I will show the taunt. Ah, he's fucking... I'm stupid. I forget sometimes that Oblivious does other things other than blocking Intimidate in Gen 9. So we'll just go for the U-turn here. I just gave him a free turn to wish his Licky Licky back up or whatever else he would like. He does go for Protect, totally fine. He does get his wish back, and he's at full health again. He probably gets a free Swords Dance here. I could go into Vivian and try to make it fall asleep, but I really don't want to take a Body Slam on it yet. So I will just go for the U-turn again, get my 10% chip. Go into Scrafty. I will eat a Body Slam. Since he's not boosted, he does go for another wish. He probably goes into the Rose here, but there's not a lot I can do about that. And I honestly don't want to Dragon Tail, because Dragon Tail could mean I knock him into something like Tauros, where I just give him all his health back and a ton of momentum. So I actually think I'll click Drain Punch here. Even if he goes Rose, I get some amount of health back. And I think he definitely goes Rose here, and that's okay. Rose will get back to full health no matter what. I just can't risk bringing something else in on this. I need to make an offensive play with Manectric at some point, I think, so that I can get a Toxic on this Licky Licky, but it's going to be hard because I think Camel is his forever switch in for the Manectric. So we're really trying to deal damage to this monster of a Pokemon. I put Close Combat on Scrafty. Originally I had Power Up Punch, but I do think Close Combat is the better play now because it does mean that I threaten it with a one-shot, and I've already shown it, so I think he's less likely to stay in because of that. Alternatively, I could double into Manectric here, but I don't know how much ground that gains me. Yeah, so he does go into the Rose. Do get a Drain Punch, does 18%, so yeah. He gets his Wish back. He spikes in Synthesis. I think he's pretty likely to be a Poison type move, else Florges just sits on him and wins with Calm Mind. I do have to make some type of play here. So I think I will go... Let me see. If Roselia is missing its Eviolite. Yeah, Draco two-shots it. So I do think it's good to go Cyclozar here. He does go for the Sludge Bomb. It does 52%. Man, you forget sometimes that this Pokemon's base 100 special attack. That's kind of crazy. So I will just go for a U-turn. He does stay in. I don't get poison pointed, which is fine. I do think he might spike here if he doesn't Sludge Bomb. But I will go into... How much does it do to Manectric, or to Scrafty? Sludge Bomb only does 20% to Scrafty. It's just awkward because Scrafty really can't do much damage back. I need to start making some more offensive plays and just going between the same two Pokemon. So we'll go Manectric. I will take over half, which is fine. And now, do I predict him to switch? He knows that Overheat knocks him out. Yeah, Overheat knocks him out without any concern. So I am just going to go for a Toxic here. Hopefully I can catch the Camel. And he stays in. Nice, okay. Okay, he expected to live the Overheat. I could Terra Fire and Overheat, and that would guarantee the KO, because he's acting like he has enough Spadef to live the hit. I just don't know that he does. Manectric is really not very useful to me. It loses to Licky Licky other than getting a poison on it. It doesn't do great into Pincurchin. If it's Lightning Rod, it loses to a Scarf Tauros, and it loses to Camerupt. The only thing I want is a Toxic on the Licky Licky. So I think I will just go for an Overheat here. Okay, and I do get the one shot, so it was an odd synthesis. I think he might think he gets a setup for free here, but he will, probably have second thoughts on that now that I've revealed Toxic. So that's a bit unfortunate. I think if I hadn't shown Toxic and I had just knocked out the Rose, then he probably goes Licky Licky here to start setting up. Because, he knows I'm not Specs. I can't trick him a choice item and cripple him. So it's kind of tough. Oh, so apparently him staying in was a miscalc. He was still calcing with Eviolite. So that's why he was so confident in staying in, because this looks like, max health, Rose, it's a roll very much in my favor. So, yeah. I think if he goes Camel, I can save this and go into Florges and finally get a Wish Pass. Okay, so he does go Camel. I've not seen a move from it. I've only seen it switch in and then immediately switch out. So I don't think, unless it's Sheer Force, Life Orb, Iron Head. So it shouldn't ever one-shot Florges, so I shouldn't get punished for this. I will take a ton of damage if that's the set. Okay, it's Earthquake, so it is physical. I can calc that Earthquake. I do expect it to be Sheer Force, Life Orb, personally. Earthquake, 49 to 58 with Life Orb, so maybe not. If it's, oh, well, I guess Sheer Force doesn't boost Earthquake, but still. Yeah, without Life Orb, that's about the damage it's doing, and Iron Head does up to 62%, so we'll just Protect, see if he has it. Okay, Heavy Slam. I'm glad I protected. That would have been awkward, because Heavy Slam definitely knocks me out. We'll definitely go into Scrafty here. I think Scrafty is a pretty safe play. He might go for Earthquake. He does go for Heavy Slam. It does two-shot me, if only barely. So I wonder how much speed he's running. Because if he's not running much speed, then a Drain Punch might put me at enough health to live anything that's not Flare Blitz that he goes for here. Otherwise, Close Combat's just a better play, because this is one of the guys we need weakened. Unfortunately, he is keeping this Pincurchin at full health, so Vivian is going to have a lot of trouble sweeping in the end. I could knock off. That's a pretty safe mid-ground, because he does still have all his items. And it should knock out Bull now that it's not a fighting type. I do think he probably wants to stay in and just remove Scrafty, though. I don't know how much speed he's running. Actually, I bet he's Assault Vest, because the way he's running these attacks, it would make a lot of sense with some of my special attackers. I will just go for a Close Combat. He is faster, and Earthquake does knock me out, which is totally fine, because now we've gotten the Intimidate. I don't think this is the time we go into Vivian, because he could hard read the Terra and go for an Earthquake and ruin my day. So, Cyclozar, and if we assume he's Assault Vest, Draco is not killing, and Earthquake is doing a ton of damage back to me. Manectric obviously does no damage to this, and Florges does no damage, so I think, yeah, my only out really is Cyclozar. So we'll go into Cyclozar. We'll drop a Draco. It will not kill if he's Assault Vest. Okay, he does just switch Licky Licky. which is, it makes a lot of sense. Draco knocks him down. I will go for the U-turn. Can't taunt him. That's silly of me. I ran taunt specifically to deal with Wish Licky Licky, completely forgetting what Oblivious actually does. So that's a really good bring on his part. U-turn. He probably wishes here. He doesn't have a great way to prevent me from wish passing, but I've lost my 2 bulky Pokemon that I'd like to wish pass into. So I think I will go Manectric here as a bit of a more aggressive play. If he body slams, he body slams, but he does wish. I will go for a Toxic. He does protect, makes sense, but I will definitely trade Manectric for a Toxic on this Licky Licky because it means it can no longer beat me 1v1. It does go back into the Camel. We do get a Toxic, it does deal some damage. Cyclozar is at full health, so I don't see a way that this Camel could one-shot it. So I will bring in Cyclozar. I will take the damage, and that's okay. Earthquake does deal 73%. This Camel is very strong. 73%. Yeah, Adamant max attack sheer force only does 72.3 at max to this Cyclozar set, so. Okay, 72.7. Makes me think he's running like soft sand or muscle band or something. I'm not sure, but it makes me think he's running some kind of strange item. He can definitely go into Licky Licky once again here. If I U-turn, I pretty much have to give up a Pokemon. I am almost okay with giving up Manectric. I do just want to run one quick calc. So Manectric into Licky Licky. In the off chance he sets up terrain for me, Rousing Voltage does 2-shot Licky Licky, but that requires a lot of steps in that Manectric wins, and that would mean he needs to sack his Tauros. So we'll go for Draco. Even if Licky Licky comes in, I do just get to freely regenerate. He is thinking. He might think I'll go into Florges here, predicting the Licky Licky so that I can get a Wish up and get something healthy. And he might be thinking I U-turn here, and, so he gets that free kill. So I do think his odds of staying in here are pretty high. Okay, so he does stay in. We do get the knockout, so that's nice. Licky Licky does get to come in for free, or the Bull gets to come in for free, which is fine. So this is the whole reason I brought Static on Manectric as well, is because if nothing else, it's a sack into a para. So he does Raging Bull, no Static. Okay, that's fair. He got a lot of body slams, none of them got paras, so if nothing else, I deserve to not get the para for the Wave Crash. So, Scarf to Tauros. Most likely Adamant. I don't see why he wouldn't run Adamant. Going for Raging Bull. It is a water type move. We're just making sure the calc notes that. And then Water Terra into our Florges. Does 72 to 86%. Damn, that is a lot of damage. Into our Cyclozar. Oh wait, I think I was looking at Wave Crash. Cyclozar Raging Bull doesn't do over half, so Cyclozar is a pretty safe switch in. Into Florges, Raging Bull does 55 to 65, we're at 68, so we're just barely outside of the realm of him knocking us out. And Florges means that, Florges kind of means Licky Licky comes in to set up for free, which is unfortunate. Water Terra is really just so hard against Fire Terra. We'll go back into my Lizard. I do expect him to want to switch, right? It only makes sense for him to switch because he wants to save the Bull. He can come in one more time and he can clean up a +1 Vivillon, assuming he ran enough speed for it, which I would assume he ran enough speed to deal with Modest Vivillon, which makes a lot of sense. But I'm not sure I'm willing to make the aggressive double. I think I will go for U-turn here. It is a potentially game-losing play if he does just Raging Bull, because then I'm on the back foot. But I want to try to catch the Licky Licky. Okay, we do catch the Licky Licky coming in. I will go for a U-turn. Excuse me. And I think my best play here is to go into Vivian in this moment. Oblivious does not make you immune to Sleep Powder, as far as I'm aware. He might go into his Terrain Pincurchin, which would make me sad, because then I couldn't sleep anything. Okay, yep. He does go into Pincurchin. He does set up the terrain. Totally fine. But I had to make that play because if I was able to put Licky Licky to sleep, then that was a pretty free win. I am really sad that I sacked my Manectric. So this shouldn't be able to deal any kind of damage to Cyclozar. And I almost replaced the Cyclozar set, and it has been an absolute MVP. I don't know, maybe he ran some kind of weird physical Pincurchin, because that's how it breaks Florges. I don't see a great way for us to win this in game, because I think we're getting too weak to deal with this Scarfed Tauros, but we will try. Florges has completely failed because I have not been able to get it in on anything. So I haven't been able to get health. I really don't want to lose the speed on Cyclozar. So I do think I will go into Florges here and we'll see what this has. Rising Voltage, yep, makes sense. It's a very strong move. I assume he doesn't have speed. So Florges, I do 50% to it, which means Cyclozar can probably then knock it out. Yeah, with Draco, assuming he's not fully Spidef. Man, I should not have sacked that Manectric, because it would have eaten his team alive as soon as I sacked Florges here. Or it would have killed Licky Licky and then eaten Tauros alive, but, you know, whatever. I think going for damage is my safest bet here. Wish isn't going to do anything. Rising Voltage into Vivian. If I turn into a fire type, holy, strong Pokemon. Yeah, it still does 75%, so I couldn't get up 2 Quiver Dances, unfortunately. I will just go for the Moon Blast. We'll deal some damage. Spidef drop would have, or special attack drop would have been amazing, but this game has been kind of oddly free of hacks. Unfortunately, we're giving him an out where he'll be able to win with Tauros. If I let either of these Pokemon drop, then he wins with either Water move or Fighting move. So we really can't let either of these two go down. Now that I have knocked him that low, I can't really Terra with Vivian, unfortunately. Because if I Terra, then Tauros just wins with close combat. So I've kind of cornered myself here. Yeah, it looks like a close combat is a roll on this Vivian set because I did give it quite a bit of defense. I do also need terrain to go away. But I think Cyclozar is just a game-losing play here, so I do think I have to go Vivian. I can go for 1 Quiver Dance and Terra, but that just means Tauros runs wild. Does Terra Blast KO without me being a Terra? Kirchen. No, I have to Terra in order to KO the Kirchen, unfortunately. This is tough, but I think I'm just going to have to take the KO. So Cham really did well. He made a really strong team here. I think Rising Voltage made a lot of sense because it deals a lot of damage. Should have saved Manectric, but I thought the static chance was worth going for because if his bull was paralyzed in this situation, then Vivian would just win from here because I could KO the Pincurchin, and then I could just either Sleep Powder the Licky Licky, or I could just Hurricane the Tauros and then win from there. So I do think it was worth taking that 30% chance. It didn't happen, so, you know, that's Pokemon. It's always a game of odds, no matter what. So I'm hoping he's not Terrain Extender, because if he's not, then that gives me a chance to Sleep Powder Licky Licky in the end game. I do think this will come down to a 50-50 regarding Tauros, though. So we'll see. He'll probably go Tauros, and then it depends on if he clicks Water Move or if he clicks. Actually, no, that's definitely not the case. Oh, so he does actually switch into Licky Licky. I do get a Terra Blast. It does minimal damage. That's an odd play. I guess to prevent me from ever sleep powdering, he can go back into Pincurchin to set the terrain back up. But if a Body Slam doesn't KO me, or doesn't paralyze me, then I could potentially get a Quiver Dance up here. Sleep Powder next turn. It's tough. Bull does just kind of win here. A mixture of Bull and Licky Licky. But if I can weaken this, and Bull locks into a water move, then we might have a chance. So since that Terra Blast did 24%, Hurricane won't KO, but it will two-shot. And if I do get the Confusion, it could be beneficial. I do also want to Sleep Powder next turn, though. I think what I can do here is I can actually maybe go for the Quiver Dance. I'm just so worried about a Body Slam para. But if he Body Slams into me Hurricaning, then he kind of just threw the game, because then I just sweep through the rest of his Pokemon. So I think I will Quiver Dance here. Did not protect. He went for Body Slam. Does he get the para? He does not get the para. Terrain goes away. Okay, he's not Terrain Extender. I will Sleep Powder. He does go back into Pincurchin. That makes perfect sense. I could have Quiver Danced again there to potentially win the game, because then I would have been faster than Tauros, but I did not. So at +1, does Hurricane always KO this? At +1, yeah, Hurricane always KOs this, but I don't need to risk the miss, so we'll just go for Terra Blast. Now I got the Concursion. The Bull comes in. He probably goes for Fighting Move here. Yeah, Fighting Move wins him the game. It's tough. Tough week for me. Unless he's slow, but he's not. And that's game. GG. So we did lose. I think there's some things I could have done differently, and that's how it is sometimes. But we'll see you later this week with the next one.